The Mage 5th edition video game should be based off of Baba Is You, and the Mage 5th edition TTRPG should be about AI shattering reality. So I'm going to explain that. The magic of World of Darkness is difficult to conceptualize, and it is certainly a tricky thing to make it into a video game, where in a TTRPG at a table you can bend reality to your will with just your words. The world that exists in your game is only true when the people at the table agree to it, and that's all you need is a picture in your mind and a conversation. But when hard rules and code are being laid down, how do you make that into a fun dynamic system like the magic system in Mage? And now that Mage 5th edition is being talked about, and White Wolf have returned as a developer and a publisher, and they're talking about making more video games and giving, like Jason Carl said, the Bloodlines treatment to different properties, with Changeling being mentioned, and obviously Vampire and Mage and Werewolf all having this opportunity in the near future to kind of be bigger and be explored more, with a new edition of Mage that everyone is so excited to see. I have been thinking about what could Mage look like, and what could Mage look like in a video game, and I think I've got it. I think I know the video game that I would like to see a version of for Mage, and it's not what you're going to think. It's not BG3 or anything like that, but we will talk about that. As an introduction, for those of you who are more familiar with other parts, I hope you like my wizard cloak for this and my wand, my LARP wand. Mage is a game where you are a mage who has been connected with an avatar, which is a kind of part of your soul, or however you want to describe it, a part of like something that has granted you magical powers, and those magical powers can literally rewrite reality. Anything that you can imagine, like teleporting or transmutation or morphing your own body, reading people's minds, making things appear out of nowhere, deleting someone from reality, are all entirely acceptable spells that you can cast in Mage 5th edition. Anything that you can imagine and that you have the spheres for, which are kind of the domains of magic, whether it's life or space and time, and what else is there? Entropy, like either decay or chance. It's a very, very conceptual, I've found it very difficult to wrap my head around at times. Like, what can I do? Anything? Oh no. In this universe, it is a world of darkness, so the questions that it is asking you are things like, what is an appropriate use of extreme power? What is your responsibility when you have that capability? And what would you do if you could change the rules? It also has a lot of political and modern day, because it's a modern day setting. This is the real world, but mages and werewolves and vampires exist as usual. But as a mage, you are mostly human, except for the fact that you have this power. Like, you get stabbed, you die. You have to be prepared for magic spells coming your way. You have to be prepared for vampires who can turn into shadows. And if you don't have any light powers or a torch on you, you might just be screwed. The world is a scary place. And the political stuff in Mage is very high level between the traditions, who are based on more spiritual interpretations of reality, whether that is the existence of an almighty god, learnings of natural philosophy, of hermeticism, or whether that is paganism and belief in animistic spirits within all objects. Whatever the belief system of the mage is how they interpret the world and the medium through which they operate their magic. The traditions are versus, or in previous editions, they were versus the technocracy, who are invested in hyper technology. They don't believe magic is real. They edit reality and they create technology that is extremely powerful. And those competing philosophies that technology is the way forward versus understanding are competing to dominate reality and have their philosophy be the overriding one. And that was really interesting back when it started in the 90s and even through the noughties. But in the modern day, technology is running wild in some ways. Corporate interests are controlling a vast swathe of money and politics, and a lot of scary things are happening in the world. And I think through play we can explore that and feel empowered and question our own beliefs on how the world is operating. And you don't have to do that. You can just be like, I want to throw fireballs around in the street. You can do that, whatever. That's your game, your rules. But something that's been at the top of my mind for Mage is AI. In Mage, previously, they invented AIs. They had the hyper technology to build sentient thinking machines that were able to help them or inhabit like robots or exist on the internet. And now that's a little bit closer to reality, except the robots that we deal with are kind of dumb word vomit machines that steal art and literature and scientific papers, glom them all together and throw out an answer on a chat app. It's really interesting to explore that. And I think, especially in the political realm as well, with how there's been quite a lot of intentional division of people, there's quite an intentional division of what people see as true. And in Mage, the truth is what a mage wants it to be. It's shattered, depending on which group of people you talk to in the same location. What they believe can be radically different. And for this high-level technocracy versus tradition battle, the reality is shattered. Mages did incredible things. They created entire new universes outside our own to live in and experiment in, or they used to run monopolies, or they used to try and find the elixir of life. Magic should be less potent unless they're backed up by a consensus that helps them. Their magic is incredibly weak, which, shouldn't play with the core cool concept of if you have power over a domain of magic, you can cast whatever spell you want. But that should be harder when it's kind of clear that the belief in the area is weaker, and things should have a big shakeup. External realities should be crumbling. The technocracy should probably be eating itself, except for huge, powerful top level mages that run the show. You know what I mean? The Elon Musk of the technocracy should probably be going haywire. And I think that's really fun and interesting and helpful to explore in the modern day. And I imagine as the traditions sort of mostly lost what the conflict is called the Ascension War, maybe this is their opportunity to revive themselves, and in what way should they revive themselves? That's a question for them. And how do they get together without betraying their mistakes from the past, and how do they do it without like trying to consolidate power in the same way that the technocracy did? And I would love to see the avatars be written in a much more, I don't want to say intrusive way, but a challenging way, a way that will make you think before you cast a spell. But now onto video games. Like I said, they're thinking about what other big RPGs could exist with all of these things. And the challenge that I'm sure we've all considered, if you've thought about Mage for a hot minute, is that how on earth do you make a fully dynamic and customizable magic system work in a computer? And there have been lots of really cool game systems. The ones that come to mind are the elemental system from Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, or physics systems from Oblivion, and the cool way in which Baldur's Gate 3 gives you lots of spells and abilities as tools to interact with the world. Like you see people stacking crates to jump over a bridge that's been raised, that kind of thing. And I feel like an RPG world with that kind of creativity is something that we would expect to see as a limit when you put something that's so free-ranging into a video game. No one's going to expect, like, well, I want to be able to type out exactly what this spell does and then see that effect come out of the fingertips of my magician. No, I don't think anyone expects that. Baldur's Gate 3 took over $100 million to make, and however many years, 8 years or something. So maybe I don't want to wait that long. Like I said, Mage is a bit more of an abstract game. And I've thought of a few examples of games that I would like the systems that they built transfer into games. And I think the difficulty is when we imagine like Bloodlines, it's a third-person action RPG. When we imagine the recent vampire and werewolf games, they are like brawlers, or they are like investigative third-person games where you have very specific powers that you know exactly what they do. And I think that would be cool to do if you did like something closer to a point-and-click adventure for Mage, or a text adventure in the style of Night Road or Parliament of Knives. That would be really, really cool, because obviously you're reading, you can imagine in your mind how the magic works, and there are set paths you can go down, but ultimately like what that looks like and how your character exists and the powers that they have in the world are a bit more able to branch, and there's more space for interpretation, like there should be in a conceptual game like Mage. But I think the thing is, those games are not meta enough. When you have the ability to edit the rules, edit reality, 2 video games come to mind. The first one you might not expect is Baba Is You. This is a game where you can literally change what the game does. You can turn yourself into a rock. You can abandon your body, and suddenly every square that is a wall is walk-throughable. And I think if anything is Mage, like this is a puzzle game, but with a little bit of story, I would play the hell out of what rules can I change? I think it would be perfectly valid if the game presented you with like, this is how the game works. This is how the rules work. This is the interpretation of your worldview you were a mage, like whether it's the technocracy, like you see the universe in code, like all of these extremely cool rules suddenly become your playground. And the map is not what you're thinking about. It is what you want the map to mean. And that is a much more abstract and powerful way of interacting with a video game that feels much more Mage to me. If you get pieces of reality that you can plug together in a dynamic system, I think it matters less what the limits of that system are, as long as you can understand each of the little bits and you're like, oh, I have control over luck. So the percentage chance of luck, or like, I guess, luck is a bad one. Or no, maybe it's not a bad one. Like, if you can go entropy is 100%, like something rots, or your crit chance ends up being like impossible to miss. Being able to piece those rules together in your own way is how Magic works. It is what Mage is about. And if that was connected with a story about even just one very specific worldview of a mage, like one tradition or one like perspective of the technocracy, that would be amazing to me. And I cannot miss, if we're talking about meta games, Inscription. Because you are playing with cards and how the cards work and all of the different effects on cards, it is much more abstract and conceptual and can apply and connect more easily with the story that's going on than a less structured like third-person action RPG could. It's extremely story-based, right? You progress. There is an end, and you get past the main part of the game to get onto another, which lets you and the story change the rules of the world in very specific ways. And you can edit your deck, which could be your list of skills and powers. And I think that would be a lot of fun just because it's so cool and would give you so many options, just like you do at the table. So let me know what kind of games you would like to see a Mage version of, or what you think of my list of games, or things you would say or do differently about that list, like video games, tabletop, Mage 5th edition. I want to hear what you think. But until next time, don't be a stranger.